knives and swords and guns and darts. All four of those all relate to words. Words. Somebody can stab you in the back with a knife. They can be talking about you behind your back. Can speak of an attack. If he, the dreamer, is holding or using the weapon, it's for battle or a form of protection. A sword, it's a knife, but it's further reaching, more influence. Speaks of authority or the word. Guns can be words, either good or bad. Spiritual authority means your ability to reach beyond yourself. You can reach beyond yourself with a gun. I can shoot Dwayne from here, but I can't take a knife and stab him. Do you see what I'm saying? So a gun can be my ability to reach a lot further and have a bigger impact than a knife. And it doesn't have to be bad. I had a dream where I had a gun and I was carrying it and I just needed to go to the authorities and tell them I had a permit to carry the gun. You know, it's simple as that. The guns are powerful. They're a weapon. Darts, curses, demonic attack, people throwing things at you. A ring speaks of, why do we wear our rings? Because we're in covenant. They speak of covenant or authority. The kings had their rings that they sealed things with. So just kind of think of how things were used. Clothing, it's important to note the color of clothing items. A coat is a mantle or anointing. A swimwear, we put on swimwear to move in the water, right? And water is spirit, so if you're moving in the spirit, you've got on swimsuits and stuff, that's your ability to move in the spirit. And shorts, I've seen that a lot. It means most of the time, your walk or calling only partially fulfilled. You're not ready yet. Speaks of, I normally would wear pants if I went out to work, but if I have on shorts, why do I have on shorts? Not because I'm too hot, but because I'm not ready yet.
That's what shorts stands for, you're not ready.
Shorts, you're not ready yet. You got on shorts, you're not quite there yet.
What was Speedo? Did you say that one? I'm sorry.
Those are just like the things to move fast in the spirit. You wear Speedos just like bathing suits, except they go really fast. They're to cut resistance. And then cultural clothing, that could be a calling to another country, intercession for a foreign land, or it can just relate to culture or environment. If you see cultural clothing, it can just be speaking of culture. The culture we were raised in, the environment that we were raised in. A wedding dress, Jamie knows that. She's got a book on the covenant. Your wedding dress is your covenant. That's your deep relationship with God. It's coming into agreement, being joined together. Shoes, we've all heard the gospel of peace, so it can be peace. Walk in the gospel of peace. Shoes are your protection. They protect your walk. And it depends on the type of the shoe. Think about in the dream, I've seen people with boots. Boots are for tough places that you've got to go, right? You wear boots when you know it's going to be rough out there. And tennis shoes are more for like working. Dress shoes are more formal, more sophisticated. Sandals is laid back and comfy. Just different things. Shoes are in a lot of dreams and they can mean a lot of things.
What about mismatched shoes?
Mismatched shoes. You do see that. I guess that would be like you haven't quite figured out where you fit in yet. You're doing two jobs. You've got two things that you're doing. You know, it could be like that. Don't you think?
You're looking for the positive and the negative. The positive of it is God has called you to do two things at one time. God has called you into two ministries. He wants you to work both of them at the same level of intensity. Or in the negative, there's two things that you're trying to do, and you're confused about which one you should be putting more attention to.
So it just depends on the context of the dream. And then clothing that doesn't fit. You see this, walking something you are not called into. So if your clothes are too big, then that means you haven't matured enough to walk in this. If your clothes are too tight, that means this is a tight
You've outgrown
fit.
it.
It's not going to be easy for you, or you've outgrown it. So clothes mean a whole lot, just how they fit, what you're wearing. Creatures. You can kind of think about these on your own. Snakes are long tails, so they can be lies, and they speak of deceit. A white snake can be a spirit of religion or the occult.
I haven't seen a positive snake.
No, never seen a positive snake, other than maybe a snake that ate a snake. What you need?
What's your count?
It's over there.
What's your count?
Oh, you want my gum? You want me to spit it out? No, he wants me to spit my gum out. I have to keep my throat dry, wet. Okay, and then the next one, I'm gonna hurt you. The next one is a horse. Horses are good. They're powerful. They can speak of significant power, a movement of God. They can also speak of time or work. Horses can represent a period of time, but most of the time they're powerful. Ox are slow.
The color of the horse.
Yeah, you have to look at colors on everything. The ox or the cow, slow change, sustenance. Cows feed us, they provide for us. Rats feed on garbage, impurities, sin. It's a creature of darkness. I've never seen a good rat. Spider, never seen a good spider. Occult, attack, evil. The web is a snare, a place of demonic attack or a trap. Not seen any good of those. Bees. Bees are painful. They can be a demonic attack. They can be an attack of people. What do bees do? They sting you. And what do hurting words do? They sting you. So usually when you're attacked by a swarm of bees, those are painful words that somebody's speaking.
Or they can bite, honey.
Well, yeah, but usually if they're attacking you and biting you, it don't feel good. That's for sure. So they can be stinging words. Flies live off dead things. They're occult activity. Wolves speak of false authority, false teaching. They pick on the weak. Black Panther, high level of witchcraft or occult activity. A tiger speaks of soul power. Eagles. Eagles are good, prophetic calling. They can represent the U.S. They can represent leaders. Just think of the things that they would represent to you. Sheep. Sheep are very humble, humility, submission. They're used for sacrifices. They speak of prosperity, responsibility, just depends on the context of the dream. Goats. This says that goats will eat anything, which I didn't know that. I've never been around a goat. But it says goats will eat anything, so they have no discernment. Must mean that they just are ready to receive. It just doesn't matter. Oh, it speaks of, I read a sinner, speaks of unbelief, can be stubborn or a negative person. It can be blessings. You know, people gave goats in the Bible for exchange for stuff. Speaks of abundance. Donkeys says can be stubborn in the negative, right? But they're a gentle strength. They're a burden bearer. Mules. Stubborn as a mule. Just think about the way that you hear animals when you think about them. All the old sayings and things that we've heard over all the years. When you think about them, just kind of think how people relate to those kind of animals. Stubborn as a mule. What's an octopus? What is he? He has so many arms that he can, in the positive, he would be a multitasker. In the negative, he would be a meddler because he's got his hands in everything. Or it says it can be a Jezebel
He's shy.
spirit.
Yeah, he's shy too.
Mm. Alligator.
I'll go back to the Jezebel.
Okay.
Why would it be a Jezebel spirit?
Octopus.
Yep.
Because they have their hands of control or strength.
They grab and they squeeze, okay? And that's what the Jezebel does. The Jezebel squeezes the spirit or the breath or the spirit out. The python does the same thing, and so does the octopus. It's all about squeezing it till the breath is gone or the spirit is gone.
Alligators. They're aggressive, they're pushy, they have large mouths.
Gossip.
Attacks with their mouth. They defend with their tails, which are long tails, T-A-L-E. They could lie. They're ancient. They could relate to generational things from the past because they are old and out of the past. Elephants. You think of an elephant as being thick-skinned, invincible. He has great impact, or it could just be a big issue. Have you ever heard everybody's avoiding the elephant in the room? It's a big deal, but nobody wants to talk about it. So it just depends on the context of the dream. A whale is similar to the elephant, emphasizing things of the spirit because whales work in the water, they move in the water. A bear, we've seen bears a lot. A bear is a devourer. He comes after you to just eat you and devour you. Speaks of judgment, or it could be strength because they're strong. But even in one of my dreams, Larry always reminds me that I had a dream where it was a bear birdhouse. But all God was saying was it was bear, B-A-R-E. But in my dream, he used a bear, B-E-A-R. So you have to look at words that sound the same but have totally different meanings. So he may put a bear in your dream to show you that something is bear, B-A-R-E. Cats. See a lot of cats in dreams. I've found that most cats are female and most dogs are males. We've just seen that. Isn't that strange? But cats relate to spirit, and they're very independent thinking. They're willful. They can be uncontrollable. They don't always have a teachable spirit. They're moody. They can lash out at you real quick. So I guess maybe that's why God uses them a lot for women. I said that, nobody else did.
They were thinking it.
Y'all were thinking it, so I just said it. And then they don't have dogs there, but you think about dogs, and anytime you think about puppies or kittens, that's usually something innocent. We see lots of dreams that have puppies. That's just innocent. They don't intend any harm. But when dogs grow up, what do? They become vicious. And so dogs can be about strife and contention and getting at each other because dogs will go after each other. And so you see dogs a lot for strife. But now if you see one that is a precious little dog, like Stephanie had this black and white Shih Tzu that was the sweetest dog in the whole world that I've ever met, and I am not an animal lover, Larry can tell you, but this dog, I don't know, I think God just dropped him out of heaven because I've never seen an animal like him. And so dogs can be something precious to you. Dogs can be something precious. And if it's your pet, chances are it's something precious. People dream about their pets all the time. They'll be in dreams. Have you ever dreamed about your dogs? And they're usually something precious. But now, they can be, like I said, if you don't know who these dogs are and it's nothing special to you, usually dogs are strife. And you need to avoid letting them get together and fight it out.
What they're doing.
You just have to look at it. Because some dogs, what is the shepherd? There's a shepherd. I had a dream where I'm not an animal lover. I promise you, I'm scared of dogs. But this dog came and laid on top of me. He just covered me from head to toe. He was the biggest shepherd I ever saw in my life. and he totally covered me up. And I said, he's the goodest shepherd. He is the good shepherd. And it was Jesus. So don't think that anything has to be one way, because I would have never thought that I would have dreamed about the good shepherd. Gorilla? No. Gorilla is what is it? Strong man. Larry wanted to add gorilla. Gorilla's not in there. He said a gorilla is the strong man. We are on monkeys. Monkeys can be foolishness, silly. You ever heard that? They just act like a monkey. They're just goofing off.
Got the monkey on your back?
And the monkey on your back can mean addiction. You see the monkey on somebody's back? Something they can't get rid of. Frog. This says lust, but it's usually a spirit. It speaks of demonic. It can be a curse. Or if you see a big frog that's all puffed up. What's puffed up? Just puffed up and proud. I've had dreams about chickens a lot because I have fought the spirit of fear for years, and God has tried to help me get over that. And I think I am, and then all of a sudden I'll cower down again, and he'll give me a dream with chickens in it. And I'll have a hold of this chicken just beating it. And God's just telling me, you have got to quit being afraid. But taking that chicken, just whacking it. What, sweetheart?
Before you went about the I know that line's not on there, of course, in the positive, of course, for no. what
Sure.
that would be. Is there a negative for a line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The enemy walks around as a roaring lion, seeking whom he can destroy. So yes, Jesus is the lion, right? But the enemy is the false of that, and he walks around as a roaring lion. Yes, thank you, Debbie.
So, sorry, for frog, is the only meaning for that is demonic, is the only negative, or is there any good meaning for that?
I didn't see any good.
Okay.
I've never seen a good frog, but see, I don't like frogs either, so. And my neighbor Jeanette knows I'm terrified of frogs.
Yeah.
Unless maybe it was going around eating up all the bugs that were getting on your nerves, You never know. And butterflies, I like butterflies. They represent freedom. Moved by the Spirit. Butterflies are free. And whom the sun sets free is free indeed. I like that. Weather. You can almost lump all of these together. Any storm is a disturbance, right? So all storms, if you're dreaming about a storm, you're dreaming about some kind of disturbance. And it's either in the natural, there are things going on in your life that are trials and upsetting and are causing you problems, or it's going on in the spiritual realm and you need to pray and come against it and break that storm or the demonic storm that the enemy is stirring up against you. But yeah, and they tell you if they're light, they are from God. If dark, they are from the enemy. And they represent trouble and turbulence. So you can have a good storm and you can have a bad storm. Even in storms, you can have a positive storm. I knew that I was in a building and there was a storm going on outside and I needed to get all these people inside with me. And when I looked out, the sky was beautiful blue and it was just gorgeous outside. But I knew that these white clouds were moving in and they were up there and it was a storm. So the storm was probably from God. It was something God was doing. You see what I'm saying? And I just needed to protect me and the people around me. Tornadoes, same principle. Clouds, same principle. White clouds can be good change. Dark clouds can be trouble or threatening. The wind is the Holy Spirit, or in the negative, adversity. The winds of the Spirit. Rain. They can be trials. They can be the Holy Spirit. Just depends on if it's positive or negative. and the water, whether it's dark and filthy, if water is ever dark in a dream, then you know the spirit that it's from is not God. If the water is dirty and muddy and needs cleaning up, then you know that that's the spirit of the world or of the enemy, and that's not God. God, his spirit is always pure. And if he brings a storm, it's going to be a white storm. He doesn't work in the dark, does he? Earthquake, judgment, a shaking, upheaval, change. Snow. Snow can be pure. It shows pure as the driven snow. You've heard that. Snow can be righteousness, refreshing. It can also just be hidden. Things were hidden by the snow. The snow covers the ground. The snow covers everything up, and you can't really see what's under it. And so that can just be hidden. Or it can be a slick thing that's a little dangerous. If the snow is on the roads, then that just speaks of a little danger there. What time are we on? 2:42. Do you need a break? If you need a break, get up and walk around, and we'll kind of keep running through some of these. If you need to, just feel free to get up and go to the restroom, whatever. Rooms in a house. If the house is you, then the rooms in the house are you, right? They're parts of you. So all of those things, bathrooms speaks of cleansing, a place of removal. In public means that it's going to be out in the open where people can see. Kitchen speaks of preparing spiritual food, speaks of your heart. What are your heart's desires? Kitchens are where we cook things up. So when you're in the kitchen, that speaks of your intent, your desires, your motives, your plans. A restaurant kitchen is just a greater influence or impact. A restaurant can be a church. That's where you serve food, right? And if you had a cafeteria style, that's one that has a lot to offer, and you just walk through there and pick and choose what you want, right? Had a dream the other day where I was in a restaurant with someone. It was a real fancy restaurant, and there was a menu, and the waiter gave me the menu to pick from, and I looked through it, and there were only a few pages and a few options, and they were all very expensive, and they were all steak. And I thought, ooh, I don't really want to pay this price. I don't want to order from this. But then I realized in the dream that I wasn't the one paying the bill. The guy sitting across the table from me, the one that I told you, listen, this is even better. The one that I told you always represents the enemy, he was sitting across the table from me. And I was sitting at the table with him. And I knew that whatever I ordered, he had to pay for. And there was a lot at stake. It was all steak.
What would you prefer to order?
Huh?
What would you prefer to order?
I wasn't going to get anything hardly.
Just trying to order chicken.
Oh, yes, I was. I was asking, is there chicken on the menu? I'm not kidding you. I am such a chicken. And God was telling me, you have a lot at stake here. It's time you order the enemy to give you what belongs to you. And there's a lot at stake, and quit being a chicken. And so I got busy, and I ordered the enemy to fess up and pay the price. Because I knew he's the one that had to pay for it, not me. But I was going to be meek and mild and not order anything but chicken. Now you know how God talks to me. It's no secret anymore. But then you go through your house, the dining room. What do we do when we sit at the dining room table, like we're doing now? We eat together, we commune, we fellowship. So sitting at a table with someone is about coming together, fellowshipping, eating, participating, sharing. All of that's about a dining room table. The attic is the history, past issues, stored things. You put things in the attic that you're never going to use again. They're dusty and old. The basement, hidden issues. What do we put in the basement? That can be our soul. It's a retreat. It can be a safe place in storms. So I've seen people who use their basements as places of escape from storms. But most of the time, basements is where we just discard everything that we don't know what else to do with it.
We don't want people to
And we
see it.
haven't dealt with it. We don't want to get rid of it. We're hanging on to it. Listen to that. If you are speaking spiritually, then you're saying that I have a lot of issues that I am just hanging on to. I'm not willing to get rid of them. I'm hiding them away somewhere in the dark, hoping nobody sees them. And maybe someday in the future, I'll deal with them. That's a basement. Can be your garage. Bedrooms. Bedrooms are all about intimacy, rest, covenant, and peace. That's where you go to rest. That's where you have peace. And that's your covenant relationship with God. Have lots of dreams of beds and bedrooms. Windows. What comes in the window?
Light.
Light. You could open your windows and let in air. That's true. But most of the time, windows allow light. And light is revelation and understanding from God. So the windows in your house are very important. That's how you receive understanding and revelation. Be careful that you don't know in your dream that there's a window open that you haven't locked. Because God is saying there's an avenue here that the enemy is coming in and you're not taking authority over it. You need to lock this window and get it shut down. I can't tell you how many dreams I've had. I had a dream, I'm in my house, and Jeanette comes over and she whispers to me, you know, you need to keep your doors locked. And this is in my dream. And God's just warning me. There are issues that would come inside your life if you don't lock the enemy out. And that was just protecting me. But see, God uses people, and she didn't really have, the dream wasn't about her, it was about me and my issue of not locking doors. And she came by me and she said, I just want to tell you, you better be careful, you've got to keep your doors locked. That's just the way God talks to us. Foundation is about important foundational issues, established, stable, or unstable. We build our house on a foundation, right? Well, God wants us to build our lives on His foundation, something that's established, something that's safe. A roof is a spiritual covering, it's protection, it can be your mind, it can be thoughts. Your roof covers your house. And if you don't protect your roof and you let the rain leak in and all the trials of life leak in, you'll become so overwhelmed with the things of life that you won't be able to cope. So you better take captive those thoughts and work on your roof and make sure that you're keeping it in good shape and under control. Rain is just life and what it pours down upon us all. You know, it rains on the just and the unjust, right? We all go through the same things. Hallways, you see those are transitions. They speak of going from one place to another place. So it's just a transition in your life of where you're going from where you are to another place. And so in this transition, in this hallway that I'm traveling through, I could see different things. What if the hallway was as big as this room? Well, then it would mean, wow, that's easy. I can get through that hallway. Do you see what I'm saying? Look at the hallway you're in. Is it cluttered? Is it full of things? Is it cramped? Are you having a hard time getting through there? That speaks of the difficulty of the transition. Doors are opportunities. They left out doors. I wrote it on. Doors are so important. We see doors so much. They're avenues. I knew I needed to keep the door in my house locked. That's because that's the avenue for the enemy to get in. But they can be opportunities for openings where you're in a place and you see all of these doors along and you see all these doors and you think, well, which door am I supposed to take? Which opportunity should I take? What is God presenting to me and what should I pick? The next one is a staircase. Stairs are always a process. They're a process of going up, they're a process of going down. It's up and down in the spirit. It can be a portal, depending on the context, but what we've always seen is a process. We all say that, it's just a process. We all gotta go through it. Steps. Elevators, rising or descending of anointing. Or it can just be about changing positions. Elevators move quickly. They're effortless. You don't have to do the work. You're gonna get there, but you don't have to do the work. They move back and forth on their own. You see a lot of the next two, front porch, back porch. If you're the house, I'm the house. My front porch is in front of me. What's in front of me? My future. What's behind me? My past. So think of it like that. If you dream you're on the back porch, and I'm looking at my mom's back porch a lot, well, that's the past.
Past could be one day.
Yeah, don't think that the past was 20 years ago. The past could be yesterday. So don't say, oh, God's talking to me about my past when I was about 13. Not necessarily. It could have been yesterday and what happened yesterday. And the future can be today or tomorrow or the next day, or it can be a long time. Garage says rest, refreshing, stored for some use later. We put things in our garage, or we put things in there that we just don't want to use, or we're just storing for somebody else. If you put your car in there, we rest our car in our garage, but our car shouldn't stay in a garage, forever. We should be able to get out and interact with people. Lots of times you'll see cars on parking lots. Sometimes we're on parking lots because that's where we have to be at the time being, because that's a rest, or you're not interacting or out doing something, but it doesn't mean that it has to be bad. It doesn't have to be bad. Atrium, light and growth from heaven. Then they have a garden, love and intimacy, like Eden, paradise, Song of Solomon, speaks of growth. When I think of a garden, I think about gardening, and it's a field of labor, so you plant and you sow. So it's about working in God's kingdom. It's about reaping a harvest, going through the seasons. Body parts. They have thigh as faith. I don't think I've ever seen a thigh in a dream, unless it was on a chicken. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Oh boy, Michael don't need to see this. Lips, I put lips in there because lips are your words as a body part. Has to do with words. And kisses can be agreement. We kiss someone because we agree with them. We seal it with a kiss. Heard that? Or it can be deception because Jesus, how was he deceived? With a kiss? How was he betrayed? It can speak of betrayal. So think about how kisses are used. And lips, nose, discernment. Hand speaks of your work or your deeds, relationship or direction, depending on what the hand's doing. Handshake, coming into agreement, hand up, stop. We use our hands for all kinds of things. The arm is strength, or in the negative, weakness, and it can speak of faith. Teeth are very interesting. They have teeth, eye teeth and wisdom teeth. And you see teeth a lot in dreams. And it's because teeth represent our ability to chew. Today, you would be using your teeth for this, okay? Because we use our teeth to chew something and digest it. So it could be God talking to you about how you're able to take in things and understand them and apply them to your life. So teeth are all about wisdom, understanding, comprehension. Eye teeth, to see and understand. It could be revelatory understanding because we see with our eyes. Wisdom teeth could speak to wisdom or ability to act in wisdom. You see lots of teeth dreams. I did put face because we see it a lot in dreams. Looking in a mirror is self-examination. When we look in a mirror, what do we see? We see our reflection. So lots of times you see that in dreams, and it's being able to examine ourselves and reflect on that. And your face can represent your heart. Immobilization of body parts, some sort of spiritual hindrance or under a demonic attack. Like in a dream, you see that the person limps or that there's something wrong with their some body part that you know in reality doesn't exist. Beard, they have maturity, but yet unshaven, it speaks of spiritual neglect or uncleanness. Hair speaks of, it says wisdom and anointing, but I've seen it a lot about attitude. God will give you a dream where your hair's just a little bit messed up. God's saying your attitude's just a little bit out of line. I had dreams where you had some things in your hair you needed to straighten out. God was just saying, there's some things you need to get straight. You know, God talks to us about things just so simple. And have you ever been ironing in a dream? I've done that. Well, you got some wrinkles that need to be ironed out. We've got some things we need to iron out. Have you ever heard somebody say that? Come on, we got to go iron out some things. Think about the way that we talk to each other. Nakedness speaks of humility, transparency, being able to see through something. Legs are support and strength. I put that one in there because they didn't have legs. But we wouldn't get anywhere without our legs, would we? That's our support. That's our strength. Neck, being stiff-necked or stubborn or obstinate, strong-willed. You've heard that. I put knees because knees are about submission, obeying, service, or worship. We fall down on our knees. Your side is area of vulnerability, a place of friendship and relationship. I put feet. Feet have your walk, and your walk is your way. One that I've seen a lot is fingers. Fingers are sensitivity. It's your feelings. You get your feelings hurt a lot. It's kind of like that chicken. God did surgery on my fingers one year in my dream. And in my dream, he went in there and went inside my fingers and pulled something out. And it literally hurt in my dream. But he was telling me, I got to get rid of some of your sensitivity. You got to get over being so sensitive about everything. So, crops. Recognize the time of year in the dream of what kind of crop it is. Are they ready to be harvested? Are they wilting from lack of water? Just, think about what the crop is and what you're doing with it. Money. Money can be power, so it can be gain or loss of favor. Money is power, favor, provision. What else can you think of? Spiritual blessings. Everything has a natural side and a spiritual side. So we need money in the natural, but in the spiritual side, it's favor and it's blessings. Money is in a lot of dreams. Repeated activities. God is establishing the issue of the dream, or he is repeating it and you aren't listening or have not learned the point. How many have heard of dreams where the people are back in school? Or they have dreams, it's a very common dream, where people are back in school retaking a class or retaking a test. And it's because there's something in your life that you haven't mastered or haven't conquered. And God is just taking you back so that you can relearn this. You can get it right. You can get it fixed. Life seasons, the next page, life seasons may include former places you have been, lived, and or former schools, tests, jobs, etc. Two, a dream about a previous home. Think about where it is. I dream about my childhood home because that's talking about my past. And it's talking about my life before I married Larry. And so it's things that God's working on. I had a dream about my mom's house one time, and that was, I say my mom's house, it was my house. But I am standing outside that house, and on the front porch, I'm looking inside the house. Everything in the house has been gutted. There is nothing left that was ever in that house. And the floors have been varnished and shining. There's a coat of varnish on the floors, and I know that everything in there has been removed. And he's put a new coat of varnish on the floors. And I'm thinking, okay, it's ready to go in. And he says, no, I need to put one more coat of varnish on this floor. So God's just saying, I have removed everything out of you from your past that needed to go. And I've laid a new foundation. It's all clean and shiny. And I was ready to go. And he said, no, I need one more coat of varnish on here. So it's just God talking to us about our foundation, removing the things that were not good for me and moving me in. And the weird thing was now I knew instead of one door on the front porch, there were two doors. I don't know what that means, but it just means a door is an opportunity. And now instead of just one thing, I have two. I don't know why. A dual opportunity, yeah, it was. I knew there was another door. So just think about the house. Trees. Trees can be leaders. They can be shelter, but lots of times they're leaders. Flying. Have you ever had a flying dream? Larry has. Yes. Flying dreams are good dreams. They're awesome. They make you feel good. And they can scare you so bad that you wake up before you really ever get to all as far as you want to go, you know. That's the scary part. But it's the call and capability to move in the higher things of the Spirit. One sign of a prophetic or revelatory call, though not necessarily mature, but you have a revelatory gift is something that you have that you can see things or understand things that not everybody sees or hears or understands. But just because we have that gift doesn't mean that it's matured. So God could be talking to you about those things and the ability to move in the spirit realm at a great speed, just like Larry and his dad shooting through the atmosphere. God's talking to you about being able to move in his spirit. Reach heights that you never thought you could reach. Just think about how it sounded to you. Okay, I think that was all of mine. Was that it, Larry?